If I had one word to describe how I'm feeling after these many months of the pandemic, it would be weary. Webster defines weary as being exhausted in strength, endurance, vigor, or freshness. Also, having one's patience, tolerance, or pleasure exhausted. I think most of us can relate to some, if not all of these. I have been physically exhausted before, but it's been due to strenuous exercise or labor, and with that came a feeling of accomplishment. My major accomplishments recently have just been making it through another day. How do we reprogram ourselves to accept the drastic changes in our lives? How do we rid ourselves of the fear and anxiety we feel? What can we do to bring joy into our lives and to the lives of others? Our focus must be centered on God and His Word. He knows everything about each of us and will provide all we need. There are 3 passages that have spoken to me recently, and I'd like to share them with you. In Hebrews chapter 4, verses 14 through 16, the author writes, "Therefore, since we have a great high priest who has gone through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold firmly to the faith we profess. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet without sin. Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace in our time of need." I think the key is to hold firmly to the faith we profess. In Isaiah chapter 40, verse 29 through 31, we read about a wonderful promise. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and the young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Let us keep our hope in the Lord. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, Paul writes, "Let us not grow weary for doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." By doing good, we reveal God's love to the world, and in doing so, we fulfill Jesus' command to love one another. These 3 scriptures sum up what Jesus taught: faith, hope, and love. 3 words that are easy to say. Well, heck, they're only 1 syllable each, but quite a bit more difficult to live out daily. I would like to share a few things that have been helpful to me. The first was to increase my daily Bible reading. In doing so, my faith has been reconfirmed and strengthened. I've also been much more intentional in my prayers and taken the time to listen to God's Spirit speak to me, being reminded that He is in charge and His plan is for our good. That keeps my hope alive. It has been difficult in these times to show the world God's love when we are all so isolated. I've been trying to do small things, like holding a door open for another person, letting someone go in line ahead of me, or picking up litter, with gloves on, of course, and sewing masks for others. Focusing my heart on doing what God puts in front of me each day reminds me of what brings joy to my soul. I'm sure all of you have other and different ways to maintain and increase your faith, hope, and love. I hope that you will make an effort to share them with others. In closing, my thought is that the opposite of weariness is serenity. I'd like to share a prayer written by Reinhold Niebuhr. The first part is very familiar to most of us, and I'm sure you will recognize it. God, give me the grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to you my will, or to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. And God bless.
Wait. It seems like for everything. We wait for phone calls, we wait on hold for customer service, we wait for food, we wait for the return of normalcy during this COVID-19 pandemic. So what is waiting? Since the early church, we as Christians have been open to seasons of waiting and preparation, like Advent, as the preparation for the coming of the Christ child. You know, the holiday, Christmas. But maybe there's a point to all this waiting. What does God try to show us during this waiting? Maybe there's a lesson in there. Join Pastor Barb, Reverend Burrow, and Dr. Sharp this Advent as we explore The Meaning is in the Waiting. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the ministry here at Christ United Methodist Church, please consider sending a check to Christ UMC at 6200 Gibson Boulevard, Southeast Albuquerque.